When was the last time you made a leap of faith and unapologetically chased after your goals? Now let me ask you, when was the last time you let fear stop you from chasing after your dreams? Fear often gets in our way, but you have the power within you to build the future that you want. Welcome to Normalize the Conversation. I'm your host, Francesca Regeter, and today I'm joined by Shannon Bills, a mindset and energy coach for creatives, helping them to focus on self-love, confidence, reframing limiting beliefs, and goal setting. Join us as Shannon discusses how we can manifest our futures and the power of choosing love over fear. Shannon, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited to talk with you. But before we begin, I really just want to check in with you. How are you really?
How am I really? Ooh, I love it. I am good. There was it was a busy last few weeks. I've had my family in town. We went down to see my in-laws and some of the people in my family, without getting into specifics, are going through some health issues. And so that's in the back of my mind. But I am always very proud of how I release energy, which is what I'm sure we're going to be talking about at some point today. I don't allow anything really heavy to sit in my body. So I feel like I'm releasing it well. I'm going with the flow. And it's been a pretty average week so far, which I like average weeks. It doesn't feel so crazy and it doesn't feel so slow. We're just kind of flowing through it. How are you?
Oh, I love that. And I am okay. Unlike you, I don't release energy well. I let it hold up till I cry. I was laying in my grandma's friend's bed like 20 minutes ago, just crying. She was like, don't, she's 90. So she's like the sweetest little old lady. She's my bonus grandma. I love her. But I was in her bed just crying. And she's like, don't cry. I don't want you to be sad. And I was like, I'm like at that point, I had final exams and papers, that 66-page paper. Like it was that point where it was just so much stress that I finally was like at that breaking point. I just started crying. So I would love to learn how to release energy. And I'm so excited to learn from you today. Perfect timing.
Perfect timing. I'm excited to chat with you.
So tell us a little bit more about you.
Yeah, so I started as a child actor, which probably sounds so random to start the conversation with that, but I feel like I have to start there because that's what led me to my full journey. I was a child actor. I'm from New York originally, and that's where I got a taste of rejection at a really young age because, of course, you're dealing with typical middle school and high school rejection from boys or with the cool kids or not, being the lead of a school play or things like that. But I was constantly putting myself out there, going on auditions in New York City, and getting to the final round and then hearing nothing. I would just remember coming home and listening to answering machines when answering machines were a thing and running to see if my agent called me with good news. And things just felt very desperate. I really wanted to book something. I really wanted to prove myself to my friends. And I did that for years until I went to college. And in college, I decided to go the business route of the industry, entertainment industry. So I decided to focus on casting. So I would put actors on TV shows. If people don't know what casting is, that is, I guess, the simplest way to put it. And I absolutely loved it. I felt like I was in my purpose. I loved helping actors find their big break. That was just such a cool feeling. And I moved out to Los Angeles to pursue casting as well, because I did it in New York, but I did more Broadway things in New York. So I worked on the Newsies tour, the Wicked National tour. And then when I moved out here, the first casting job I landed was with a office that works on a lot of Nickelodeon shows. So I worked on 2 kid TV shows, which were so fun, being on set with a lot of different kid actors. Just vibes were so fun and innocent. And then moved over to another office where I worked on a lot of different shows, almost 50 TV shows, between all my different offices I bounced between. I would say the most popular ones would be Superstore on NBC, American Housewife on ABC, Never Have I Ever on Netflix, Shrill on Hulu. But I've done a ton of different casting through the years of living in Los Angeles. And as I was casting, I was checking all the boxes. I'm like, okay, I love my job. Check. I make good money. Check. I'm evolving in my industry. Check. I'm making connections. It was checks all around, feeling really good. Nothing could go wrong. But my intuition, which is what I'm sure I'm going to be mentioning a couple of different times today, my intuition, my gut feeling was, this is great, but you're meant for something different. And that was really frustrating at the time to navigate, because on paper, everything was great. I was feeling great. My thoughts were great, but my gut, which I could not ignore, it just kept getting louder and louder, just kept saying, you're meant for something different. And so what did I do? I started to journal on that. And I didn't have the answers right away. It took me about 4 years to discover what that meant. And it's funny going back, because I keep all my old journals, you can kind of see the progression of my thoughts and the clarity, how it was coming to me of what I was meant to be doing. While I was auditioning actors, back when in-person auditions were a thing before the pandemic, I could really, really pick up on an actor's energy just from the 2-3 minute exchange I would have with them in an audition, where I'd check them in, they'd come in, I'd mic them up, I'd read the lines with them, and then I'd say, thank you, next. In that short interaction, I would receive so much energy from an actor. And most of the time, I was feeling actors throwing their power away, feeling the desperateness of, oh my goodness, you hold the key to my destiny type energy. And I hated it. That is a feeling I never enjoyed. It was always refreshing when an actor would come in, do their thing, be really confident, trust in who they were, trust in their choices, and leave. But that was rare to find. And so that feeling is what led me to journaling on, what does this look like? Do I still want to be in this industry? Do I want to help a different type of audience? And long story short, the clarity that I received is connecting some of my spiritual tools, my holistic tools. I grew up in a family that talked about feelings. I grew up in a family that meditated and journaled, more so my mom than my dad, but my dad was very open to it too. My mom does Reiki, which is energy healing through her hands. So I grew up in a very spiritual household and love it. Love my parents and love the tools they gave me. I've always been interested in learning more and more in that space because I saw what a difference it was making in my life as a teenager, journaling, meditating, goal setting, manifesting, putting thoughts on paper and going, ooh, how can I bring this to form in my physical world? And things were happening. It was just magical. And so I had this idea of bringing some of these tools originally to actors, because that was the community I've known and loved since I was a kid. I know the mind of an actor really well, being a former actor, having been in casting for 8 years. And so I started a coaching business. And originally it started with audition coaching. I was helping actors with their scenes, prepping auditions for them. And that was very successful. I've had people book co-star, guest star, series regular roles, all different sizes of roles. But I found that in those sessions, I ended up doing more life coaching, mindset coaching with these actors to help prepare them to step into the energy of the scene, to release any pressure, to release any outcome or desperateness or timeline. And so I kind of pivoted a little bit more to mindset and energy coaching, teaching people about their chakras, the energy centers in their body, teaching people about the voices in our head. I call it ego and higher self, fear versus love, teaching people about their intuition and how to listen to those gut feelings and not let the thoughts in our head interfere with the feeling in our gut. And I created a whole 12-week program helping creatives understand more of this work and applying it to their everyday life. And so where I'm at now, showing up with you today, is I've expanded my business because this work can help anybody. I think I just wanted to start my foundation with a community that I know feels that rejection every single day, because you're going to hear no as an actor more than you hear yes. But I have helped writers and directors and entrepreneurs with this work as well. And that's kind of where I'm pivoting now, bringing this work to anybody and everybody, because it is just feel good work and it allows you to take your power back.
What a journey you have. I mean, going from being a child actor to now being able to use kind of that early experience of feeling that rejection, of learning how to cope with it and reframe it, to now being able to help so many people do that on so many different levels is beyond incredible.
Thank you. It feels good. It feels like it's my purpose. I'm in my purpose. This is what I've meant to do. It never feels like work to me. And I always feel good every single morning, every single night. I'm feeling good because I know I'm helping people.
That's such an amazing feeling to have. And I really love when you talked about kind of overcoming that feeling of rejection. I mean, like you said, early on, it kind of comes up as not being with the cool kids, or the boy not liking you, the girl not liking you, or not making the soccer team, or not, all these different pieces that can really impact your self-esteem so young. And a
Mhm.
lot of us, when we face rejection, we often internalize it and we start to reject ourselves instead of loving ourselves.
Yeah, I think it's something we do. Yes, it starts when we're young. Actually, most limiting beliefs and how we operate as adults does stem from our childhood experience. But yeah, as adults, I know so many people that think it's easier to just suppress the feelings, hide the feelings, don't let the feelings out. They think that's easier than dealing with them. And I would say at least once a week, I'll have a student come in saying, I know what I have to do. I just don't want to deal with it. And the way I picture that, the way I help people understand that is you're filling up a junk closet. So you have a closet that can be beautiful, empty, put all the things you want in it. But right now, there's so much junk. And eventually, the junk's not going to fit and the closet is just going to explode out. It's going to come up eventually. So I always tell people, you have that choice. Look, you can continue filling up that junk closet. That feeling won't go away. You're going to feel worse and worse, and it's just going to build and build and build until you explode. Or you can decide that you are brave enough to move through that fear right now, tackle those fears, those limiting beliefs, those uncomfortable conversations head on right now while showing yourself love. You're strong enough to do it. And then you never have to deal with the exploding junk closet.
So like me today, it's, it's so easy to want to suppress your emotions. It's so easy to not want to feel and to just bury it like under the rug and just pretend like it doesn't exist, or kind of minimize it. I think that's what I do. I like to minimize the feelings, like, oh, it's not a big deal. Like, I shouldn't feel this way. I need to just get over it. And you do that so much that eventually you have so much on your heart, on your shoulders, in your mind. And if you just coped with it or processed it or just listened to yourself way back in the beginning, instead of letting your thoughts, like you said, kind of get in there and twist it all around, it would be so much, you'd be so much more productive than having, I'd be so much more productive than having these 20-minute, hour-long breakdowns in the middle of, what's today, Tuesday, because you just let it all build up.
Yeah, I think a lot of people find comfort in the discomfort. I think a lot of people think it's easier to just not deal with anything. And I would even be bold enough to say that most of society operates that way. Most of society does not bother to go after a burning passion or the greatest love or their dream job or the dream vacation or where they want to live, because it's easier to settle. It is easier. It's easier to just be comfortable. It's easier to not move through any transitions, to just kind of be in what you're used to. But at the same time, most people do have this desire of wanting more or thinking bigger or being bigger, doing more, right? They have that desire that they don't share with anybody, and they never take action around it, because that does require hard work. It does require moving through fear. It does require getting uncomfortable, but it's just a blip of time in our life. And if people realize, okay, maybe I'll be uncomfortable for a month or two, maybe this transition will take even 6 months to a year. But then what's beyond that, what's on the other side of that discomfort, is the most magical life. And I am always accepting invitations to up level my life, which means I'm moving through transitions and discomfort quite often. I mean, going from a very nice, cushy job that I was good at to just starting completely new and making about 1/6, 1/7 of my paycheck. It was hard, but I was like, nope, I'm following this desire. I know I'm strong enough to do this. I see the vision down the line, and I'm going after it. And I know that this discomfort is temporary. So I just wish more people were brave enough to just jump and let the net appear, because I always am like, high risk, high reward. That is how I will always feel about up leveling.
I love that. It's so important to have that mindset, to trust yourself, that you're brave enough, that you're strong enough, that you can do this. I mean, going back to those limiting beliefs that we often develop so young, we often tell ourselves all these reasons why we can't do something, or why it's not the right time, or why it might not work out, instead of encouraging ourselves, instead of reframing our mind to a sense of self-encouragement, self-love, passion. How do you get to that point where you can reframe your mind?
So it's not a, drink the Kool-Aid and then you're set, right? It's not a one and done thing. I wish that's how it worked. It is a commitment to being a lifelong work in progress. And that is what you're signing up for. And to break it down very simply, we have two options always: fear or love. That's it. Those are the only two options we have when it comes to thoughts, when it comes to goals, when it comes to growing or staying stuck. Are we going to choose to sit in fear? Are we going to choose to follow the love? And I know that can get confusing, because the love, to me, I relate to my higher self, this most spirited, energetic version of me that exists. I'm going to talk a little hippy dippy here. But higher self is guiding me towards my highest timeline, my inspirations, my goals, and it's coming from the purest form of love. Now, will there be fear that gets involved, because there's going to be uncomfortable moments, there's going to be transition, moving through that, leading towards love? Totally. So fear's still involved there, but the people that choose fear are allowing their ego to win. And ego, to me, is the version of us that wants to keep us safe. So it's not all bad. It wants to keep us safe, wants to keep us comfortable, but that means we're stuck. So we're sitting in the fear, and we're going to let the fear stop us from where we want to be going. So you have those options. You got fear, you got love. And I think it starts with the decision. Am I going to decide to let the fear win, or am I going to decide to let the love win? From there, now there's so many different ways you can go about this, but I love journaling. Journaling is the best way for me to just go, let me get these thoughts, good, bad, heavy, light, whatever it is, on paper, just so I can kind of see it in front of me. What are the goals? What's stopping me? What's the resistance coming up? What are the limiting beliefs coming up? How can I reframe these limiting beliefs? So taking it from a place of fear and turning it into love, that's all reframing is. And from there, the way I see it is I've ordered from the menu of the universe. That's where the manifesting begins for me, being like, hello, I will have this living in California, and I will also take this $10,000 salary, and I will have a dog, and I will have a healthy body, and I will have a healthy. I'm ordering from the menu of the universe as I'm journaling. That's the way I see it, right? And once I've ordered, we don't have to think about it. We don't have to go, okay, but gosh, I did it yesterday. Why isn't it here today? And I think so many people add time into the equation. And I think time is irrelevant when it comes to this work. A lot of people say that, right? Time is a construct, a made up thing. We have to just trust that we declared what we wanted. We ordered from the menu. It's coming. It's coming now, right? Same thing when you order from an Amazon package, right? You're going to order, you're going to click it, you're trusting it's coming, and then it's just going to show up at your doorstep. Maybe it's a little late, maybe it comes earlier than expected, maybe it's in a big box, in a small box, but it's ordered. And I think at that point, all I ask of myself when I'm doing that is, how can I move a little momentum in that direction every day? Maybe let's say I'm manifesting the house. I wrote what I want in a house. I wrote how I want to feel. That's the biggest thing when it comes to manifesting, getting so clear on what I want to feel. And then at that point, I release the timeline, right? I'm like, I know the house can come next week. It could come next year. It can come 10 years from now, but I trust it's coming. So I think it's just, you can get as playful as you want when reframing your life, choosing love or choosing fear. I had another thought I was going to say about the house, but it totally escaped my mind. If it comes back, I'll let you know. But all this being said, it's not a quick fix. And the people that come to me saying, I need the quick fix, or I'm having a bad day, can you give me 3 tools right now to change it? Sure, I can help you change energy quickly, but that's not getting to the root of the issue. We need to get to the root of the issue. We need to be brave enough to tackle it hands-on and start to just feed that energy. And then once you do that whole process I talked about, right? Getting clear on what you want, getting behind the feeling of it, ordering from the menu of the universe, taking a little momentum forward every day. This is what I was going to say about the house. Maybe a little action isn't putting down $100,000 deposit on a house. Maybe it's just looking on Zillow and shopping and looking at houses, or going in neighborhoods that you want to be in, or treating yourself to a coffee, because you know when you're in this high vibe future self version of you, that version of you gets a Starbucks every day, and you're doing that. You're finding ways to just feel more high vibe and playful. That is plenty of action. A lot of people think we have to do these big, massive changes to call in what we want. No, it starts small and it can continue to stay small, because I guarantee you it will lead you to where you want to be.
Oh, yes. I mean, it's so easy to get caught up in timelines and deadlines and the comparison. I know for me, I like to scroll on social media and see everyone else getting like married and having kids. And I'm like, right, getting their dream jobs. And I'm like, I'm still in school. All right. And I'm like putting that the timeline on myself. And everyone around you seems to be so easy to compare myself, right? And see everyone else having these things and then trying to tell myself why I don't have it, what's wrong with me, and then give myself a deadline when I need to have this by, and when I need to become more successful, when I need to graduate by, when I need to have this, when I need to have this. And when it doesn't happen according to like that deadline that I've set for myself, that's so discouraging. And then it doesn't make me want to continue. It doesn't make me want to keep trying. It makes me be like, well, what's the point? So to get to that point where you're not so focused on time, but focused on going after what you want and really manifesting it in that way, sounds a lot more productive.
It just feels better too. I mean, when we put time in the equation, we are putting restrictions on ourselves, because I always say, like, to my actors, if you knew that dream job, that series regular was only a year or maybe 5 years away, would you release all this pressure off yourself to having to be and do and think better and do all the things? They always say, yeah. Okay, well then release the timeline. Release the timeline. Trust that it's on its way to you. It's coming to you. All you have to do is trust, right? Moving a little bit of action forward each day, keeping the faith. That's when people are like, what goes into manifesting? Simplest terms, faith and action. That's it. Faith and action. Now, I have a whole list of things that can go into that, but summing that up, faith and action is really all you need for anything in life. Just trusting that timeline, because then we're putting these, like you were saying, these deadlines of having to graduate and having to find the house, the job, whatever it is. That is a restriction you're putting on yourself. I think you can know what you want and why you want it. That's all you need to do, though. You don't have to take it 10 steps further in, well, this is exactly how it's going to happen, and it's going to happen next month. I think that's where goal setting can get a little tricky for people. I think it's nice to have a general idea, but if you ever feel like you're white knuckling something, then you want to go, how can I just take a step back and let this flow in a little bit easier?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but how do we learn to release that energy? I know I need to learn so much from you, because it really is. It's so easy to hold on to those deadlines. And even when I would try to release those deadlines and try to trust, I'm still holding on to all the stress and pressure inside of me. So what are some healthy ways that we can release this energy?
Yeah. So again, my favorite way is always going to be journaling. I think that is going to be your best friend. And for someone that maybe has resistance to even the word journaling, grab a piece of paper and grab a pen, or do it in the notes section of your phone, or pull up a Word document, whatever thing you need to do to trick your mind to go, okay, it's not journaling, but we're just going to put some thoughts down. That's fine too. Just setting the intention of releasing. I think I like to look at things with check-ins. I check in with myself. Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how am I feeling about this? And if I'm in like that 5 range, I'm like, good, balanced, fabulous. If I'm in the lower 1 to 2 range, I'm like, I need to think about this more. I need to put more energy into what I want. I need to take more action into what I want. And if I'm on the opposite scale, if I'm like, no, it's a 10, it has to happen, I'm feeling desperate around it, that's when I go, how can I take a step back from some of this work? That classic saying that I say all the time is resting is part of the work. That's how you want to feel with your desires too. Sometimes sitting on a couch is just as productive as being at your laptop, because life is all about this masculine and feminine balance. Feminine is more of the flow, the surrendering, the trusting, the creativity, the playing. And the masculine is more of the doing. It's more of the hustle. It's taking the action, planning all the things. And the key is balance. The key is balancing both out. And so if you know how energy works, is it more in this masculine state? Is it more in this feminine state? I'm not talking gender. I'm talking about energy here. And having that little check-in system with yourself, where am I at? Does it feel balanced? Great. Works. It's working out perfectly. Am I leaning a little bit lower where I need to put a little bit more action in? Okay, that's what I'll do. Or opposite of that, which most people tends to be the opposite, because we as a society are the doers. We're told to work hard to get what we want. We're told to, chase our dreams versus attract our dreams. So a lot of people tend to operate from a masculine energy. And so when we're living in that world on that scale of 1 to 10, I don't know what, 8, 9, 10, that's when we go, how can I do less here? How can I think less about this? And there's so many different ways you can do that. Maybe you distract yourself by putting on your favorite TV show. Maybe you schedule time to hang out with one of your best friends. And maybe you talk about your dreams with one of your best friends, because that's another form of releasing. I think people think it looks harder and that there's a more complicated system in place. It's not. It's very simple. It's just checking in with yourself, saying, how can I do a little bit less here or do a little bit more here? And keeping yourself busy. There's this saying in the acting industry where actors will book a flight and they'll book a job. So it says book a flight, book a job. And what I mean by this is the same thing I'm talking about here, where actors, when they're not focused on the vacation, on that flight, they're at their computer staring for an audition to come in, for a offer to come in that they booked a role. But when they step away from that and they're focused on their vacation, they're not even thinking about their acting career. That's when something rolls in. And they go, oh my, how did that happen? Book a flight, book a job. Well, it's because energetically you released the pressure, you released the focus off of the thing you're wanting so badly and focus that energy somewhere else. And that allowed space for it to enter your life. So, very similar thing with any desire we have. We really want to make sure energy has space to move and groove.
I feel like you just broke down that culture of constant production where you have to be so focused on getting more and more and more and more done, focused on this timelined end goal and never giving yourself a chance to breathe. And goodness, I think how much happier life could be if we're not so focused on that like overwhelming pressure that we honestly that like I crave, because I think that's normal. I think it's normal to get to a point where I'm at my breaking point and then have to push through it, when really we should be focused on giving ourselves a chance to rest, to breathe, to focus on what we want, what we truly want, not what we think we want or society's telling us that we want. I mean, like you said way back in the beginning, most people don't chase after their dreams and their desires. And I think a lot of it has to be we don't even know how to check in with ourselves and figure out what it is, because we're so focused on what society has told us life's supposed to look like.
I think a lot of people are chasing the wrong things right now. And if they took a moment to recognize what they actually want, I guarantee you they're gonna be like, oh, I gotta have some rearranging going on right now, because most people are going after the thing that maybe they thought they wanted 10 years ago, and they're just afraid or lazy to commit to anything new, or maybe they are happy. My case, maybe they are happy, like casting, but there's something inside of them that's saying, hey, we could be even happier. What would that look like? So that's why reflection to me is one of the most important tools any human should give themselves at any point in time, even if it's the first thing you do when you wake up. I ask myself two questions every single morning when I wake up. What am I grateful for? And what energy am I calling in today? And just getting really intentional about that helps me shift my day and start my day. Well, I think it would be a nice starting place for anybody listening to go, what makes me happy? Do I actually love what I do? Is there anything in my life that could look differently or should look differently? Just checking in with yourself with these simple in terms of, the question itself is simple, but then the answer is you want to take some time thinking about that. And maybe the answer doesn't come to you right away. And I always say, let energy do its thing. Again, you order from the menu of the universe, that clarity will come in. It might not come in right away. I had something going on in my business where I'm like, come on, I need this clarity. I need this clarity for the last 8 months. And I just kept saying, this is the thing I'm seeking answers around. Please, universe, please, energy, lead me to this sign, this clarity. And I felt like I got that this week. And it was just through journaling and continuing to check in, and you're almost playing detective with yourself. And that takes a little bit of time to find those answers. But the fact that you're diving deeper into an answer means that there is something to explore there. If you feel solid, then you don't have to check in, right? If you answer that question and you feel this full body, yes, I'm in my purpose, cool. Don't have to explore it any further than that. But if there's any sort of doubt or a little whisper or a little intuitive nudge going on, you're meant to explore that.
First of all, congratulations.
Oh, thank you. It's such a simple thing. Just in the direction of my business. And really it was I'll be open. I'm an open book here. And I will always tell people my good days, my bad days, anything and everything about me. The clarity I was seeking was, do I just continue to stay in my actor bubble? That's the minds I know really well. But my gut kept saying, nope, it's time to let this work fly and run into the hands whoever needs it, right? And it's just been a little bit tricky to navigate as a business owner going, okay, most of my audience is actors. What is this going to look like? Well, again, I've ordered from the menu of the universe. I've gotten that clarity around, okay, I do want to expand. I trust that it's going to flow in and look like whatever it needs to look like without me having to focus on it and put a magnifying glass up to it, you know? But yeah, that was the clarity I got. And it just felt good to go, yep, this is the direction of where we're headed.
That's amazing because we all need you. It's so, like, truly, it's so easy again to be so kind of consumed by the idea of deadlines and society's norms and what we're supposed to look like and what happiness is supposed to be and success is supposed to be. All these like kind of created definitions that the world has given us or that people have given us. And never making the time to really check in with ourselves and find out what genuinely makes us happy. I know for me, being 24 and still in school and being an entrepreneur, any one of my friends will tell you that they're like, don't do it. Like, just, you have a master's already, go get a job in that, like, get life set up and then worry about this later. And I'm like, yeah, I could, but this is what makes me so happy. I was like, even when I'm so stressed out and I'm at my breaking point and I hate the world, I am so happy doing it. Like, I would so much rather be like stressed out and mad because I have 2,000 podcast episodes to edit because I was so focused on a paper than be stressed out and mad because I have a deadline for something I don't care about.
Yeah.
Right? So, but it's so easy to see that pressure of chase after what the world tells you success and happiness is and never asking yourself, like, what genuinely would make me feel good, even on the worst days? How am I still happy?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. You're always going to be met with that resistance. And I think life is funny and playful in that way, where other people are mirrors for us, whether it's showing us the exact thing that we don't want or the exact thing that we do want. Or I also feel sometimes the universe will do little tests being like, you sure you really want this? How bad do you want this? And I had a very similar experience when I left casting. Almost every single person in my life, besides my parents and my husband, almost everybody in my life, friends, industry friends, actor friends, my father-in-law, I remember having his reservations. All of them said, well, you're leaving a job you love that makes great money that you're evolving in. What? And so many actors and casting friends and coworkers of mine said, no one's going to want to work with you if you're not casting TV shows. And that was really hard to hear because I'm like, oh my God, you're probably right. But I still didn't follow through with that fear. I was like, I'm still going to do this because this is what feels good to me. And I'm so glad I did. There's not, and I'm so with you. I think I give entrepreneurs so much credit. It is such a beautiful energy all of us share going after something we want that is difficult, right? I mean, it's funny how, yes, I'm my own boss, but at the same time, when does the work actually stop then? I feel like I am always just thinking of things and creating or checking emails or doing bookkeeping or in sessions, but it never feels like work. So I hear you. It's like our workload almost doubles as an entrepreneur, but it never feels like work and it feels so fulfilling. And it's just such a cool feeling looking at another entrepreneur being like, I see you, I get it, I know what you're going after, and you were strong enough to do it. And everybody's strong enough to do it. It's just, you got to get out of the mind. You got to get out of your head and say, you know what, let me just try this. You will be met with resistance. You will be met with people saying you're crazy. But if you know in your gut that you're meant to do it, you follow that gut. It will never steer you wrong.
Yes, absolutely. Just believe in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like we're kind of taught to not believe in ourselves and to doubt ourselves all the time. And taught like that, what if it doesn't work out, right? That's like the question for some reason that we'd love to ask ourselves, like, what if it doesn't work out?
Right.
But on the other hand, what if it does? What if you just believe in yourself and take that jump and do what makes you happy? What if that works? And if it doesn't, then you figure it out as you go. But
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's so important to give yourself a chance to chase after what makes you happy. And life will bring you where you're meant to be. And I know for me, that's something that's, I mean, I'm a big believer in like trust in the process and like when the timing is right, everything will happen. I
Mm-hmm.
hate it because I want to be in control. I love to control everything and micromanage every piece of my life. But I'm such a big believer that it's going to happen and just
Mm-hmm.
giving yourself a chance because I mean, I have a master's in information systems. So I can semi-code in multiple languages. Like I could so easily be doing that right now. I would hate every minute of it. I hated it when I was in school, but I thought that's what I was supposed to do. Technology is the future, everyone said. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's so easy to just follow that path, but I listened to myself, I listened to the universe, I listened to 12-year-old me who had started that blog inspiring my generation was like, this is what I'm meant to do. It's so easy to follow the route that everyone else does, but if you just believe in yourself, you'll end up where you're meant to. And it probably won't look anything like what you thought, to be honest. Like it doesn't. No.
Totally. And that's why I tell people to trust the view that's in front of you because there's a whole bird's eye view going on that you have no idea what is in store. Like I look back and go, if I was talking to my 12-year-old self that wanted to be on Disney Channel, 12-year-old self would go, what do you mean you're a coach and you're not an actor? That makes me sad. Like I thought we were going to be on Disney Channel, right? But I'm like, no, it's okay, girl. Like it's okay, 12-year-old Shannon. Everything is amazing and worked out the way that it was meant to. Same thing with, me going back to casting Shannon being like, hey, I know you think you're going to be a casting director. I know you think you want this. I know you think you're going to be doing this for 30 years ahead. You're not, but just trust, right? It's going to just be even better than you planned. And that's why we're not meant to know the answers. We're meant to enjoy where our feet are planted just because there's so much magic brewing that we can't see yet.
Yes. Oh, I love looking at it that way because you really can only see what's in front of you and trusting in what's in front of you, but knowing that the road could pave a little, turn, and go up and go down. It's going to be so much other than what you're just seeing, and that's okay. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay to not have life work out the way 12-year-old you planned or 20-year-old you planned. Like it's okay if life takes so many different twists and turns and learning to trust that it's going to work out. And I know for me, one of the hardest parts in the beginning was like people would pay me $50 for an hour of speaking. And it's like you get those every once in a while. And I'm like 21-year-old, 22-year-old me was like, wow, no. But that has, and in the beginning, I was like, that's so cool. People want to pay me to speak. And I'm like, wow, I can't even buy food for the week on this. So it's like, should I keep doing this? Should I keep working? Like all
Mm-hmm.
that self-doubt kept coming in. And then all the voices of everyone else saying, see, this is why you can't do it this way. And fast forward to today, making 100 times that amount to speak. And it's like, wow, I trusted myself and timing. And like, do I wish that happened so much quicker? Absolutely. Do I need it to grow a lot more, a lot sooner? Absolutely. But learning that like it genuinely does work out the way it's meant to when it's meant to. Because if I started off in the beginning doing so well and everything seeming great, but I've continued to work so hard, would I have decided to continue doing the podcast every week or writing the books or wanting to be a keynote speaker? Like what I've wanted all the different directions and did the things that make me so happy if everything came so easily in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. That's why you gotta trust where you are and trust that there's a bigger plan going on. And it's the unknown, I think a lot of people fear, but to me, it's exciting. To me, I'm just like, oh my gosh, what's ahead? Like, I can't wait to see what it is.
I'm working on getting to that mindset. I really love to be in control. Like I'd love to be in control of what's going to happen. And
Yeah.
I'm learning, slowly learning that you can't, like you really aren't in control of anything. I mean, I
Yeah.
have things scheduled and then it's like, we had the whole flooding here in South Florida. It's like, couldn't even go outside, could not drive my grandma to the doctor, could not do all these things that were on my calendar and on my schedule. like you really can't control anything other than reframing your mindset, other than listening to yourself and loving yourself and trusting yourself. Those are the things you have control over, is how you kind of look at yourself and believe in yourself. But you can't control anything else, which sucks because I so want to. But like genuinely, just learning to trust in yourself and trust that everything else happening around you is meant for you when it's time.
I think that as you get older too, because 24-year-old version of me also wanted the answers, wanted the control. And I learned to release that with time, because the more life you live, you just start to realize, oh, literally nothing is in my control other than how I show up for myself. That's it. That is all you can ever control. Everything else is going to come in and come out however it needs to, or wants to. And I've just learned to roll with it, like even on days where maybe I'll label it as a bad day, I can still roll with it and trust that's the day I'm meant to have, and trust that tomorrow's going to look differently, So just giving yourself that gift of releasing and allowing. I think for you, it will definitely come with age, but also it is a work in progress. Are there things that I really, 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 really want to happen? Duh, I'm a human. Of course. Of course I do. And of course I have bad days where I'm stuck in my head. And of course I have good days where I'm thriving in my head. That is what I love to normalize about mindset and energy work is, oh, we're all dealing with the same things. Oh, like you have good days and bad days. Oh, you've compared yourself to other people. Oh, you have pressure around this thing too. Yeah, we all do. And so that's why I think when we can look at it as from an energy perspective, am I releasing too much, or am I white knuckling things, or am I in the middle? Like check in with yourself, see where you're at with that, and just show up how you need to show up that day, whether that is more of a I just need to do nothing and rest on the couch, or I have so much energy I just want to feel productive today. If you can give yourself permission to release that control and just flow through every day of your life, it's going to be the best gift you can give yourself. So that will take a little bit of time. I've been doing this work for so many years, so it's easy for me to go, yeah, come on, just release the pressure, right? But I also have days still where the pressure does feel really stuck in my head or in my body still. And I just am not hard on myself during those days. I'm not like, come on, Shannon, you're a mindset and energy coach. You should not be feeling this right now. No, I signed up to be a human in this lifetime, and I'm going to feel what I need to feel.
Like we are all human and we have to feel. Like there's no way to avoid feeling, which I wish there was. Like I wish we could sit here and be like, you don't have to feel. You can just be like happy all the time. Life can always be great. But like that's not the truth. Sometimes life is tough and overwhelming and things you don't want to happen. But learning to give yourself a break and not beat yourself up over it. Yeah. And to start to reframe those thoughts and release the energy when you can. You might not be able to do it today or right now, and that's all okay. Shannon, you've been absolutely amazing today. Thank you for teaching me, changing my life personally. I hope everyone enjoys this podcast episode, but I really got a lot from it. So thank you. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Fran, for having me. This was so special. I love starting my morning on the West Coast. I guess it's still before noon, so I'll call that morning. Thank you for starting my day and my morning with wonderful conversations, and thank you for your energy that you got to share with me, and thanks for anybody who's listening.
Thank you so much for listening to Normalize the Conversation. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. This podcast is an initiative of Inspiring My Generation, focusing on normalizing the conversation, bringing education and awareness to the forefront, and amplifying global voices to spark change and hope. Inspiring My Generation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization on a mission towards suicide prevention through awareness, conversation, education, and support. Connect with us on Instagram at Inspiring My Generation and visit our website inspiringmygeneration.org to learn more about our work and how you can make a difference.